Hi humans, I am the Black Cat, and today I decided to take a look at the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Naturally, I was skeptical if this movie would be good or not, but I wanted to give it a chance before passing judgment. This movie isn't really a remake, it's more of a sequel set in modern day. So the story follows Mel and Leila, who are sisters. Mel is joining in on an adventure with a man called Dante and his wife. They are planning to buy up an old ghost town and sell the property to other city folk. That ghost town is Harlow, a small town in Texas. One of the first things we're presented with is a recap of what happened in the original 1974 movie, but it's presented on a TV like a true crime show. Honestly, I kinda liked that approach. It was a good way of presenting the world of the movie. This is a real thing that happened in this town's history. So when they arrive, Dante notices a Confederate flag hanging outside one of the buildings. He and Mel go to the building with the intention of taking it down, but they find out an old lady is living there, that this building used to be an orphanage. She tells them that she still owns the house, but they don't listen. She gets upset and Dante ends up calling the police, and they come and take her away. While she's having a panic attack, a man appears at the top of the stairs. She calls him her lost boy, and that he's the only one of the children left that she used to take care of. Anyway, the police arrive, and the man picks her up, and the police take them away. Meanwhile, we find out that Leila is a school shooting survivor, and so as a result she has a fear of guns. There is some anti-gun stuff that we see as she scrolls her Instagram, and I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. After they find out the woman died, then the guy they hired to help fix up the place takes their keys and tells them that they need to find the deed to prove that it wasn't her house, and then he'll give the keys back. Mel asks Dante if they had the deed to the house, but he can't find it. So she's like, did we just kick this woman out of her own house? So in order to find it, they decide to go to the house of the old lady to try and find her copy of the deed. If she had it, then it was her house and they had no right to force her out. The problem I had with this bit was that they wanted to hide it from the bank lady, when realistically they should have included her in that conversation. She would have all the paperwork with her, right? They were doing a presentation for the buyers, surely she would at least have copies. But no, they decide to go into the house, and of course he gets killed. By this point, I'm not really liking any of the characters. They're all very... is self-righteous the right word I'm looking for? Character of Mel is a better character than a lot I've seen in these kind of movies. She acknowledges that they were wrong. She does the smart move of hiding and being quiet when she needs to be, and running when she needs to. I didn't like her at first, but as the movie progressed, I kinda liked her more. However, I think toward the end it did get rather cheesy, and not in a good way. These are presented as normal girls, scared for their life, as you would expect. Don't try to make them cool or tough for one moment and then go back to normal. I think it would have been better if they stayed true to their character. Like in the original, Sally never tried to be tough. She was scared for her life, and she carried that through the whole movie, right to the end. With this one, the other characters in the movie, however, were just kind of there. They were like cardboard cutouts, not individual characters that exist on their own. The sisters were the only ones that had any real depth to them. Like they wrote the two main characters and just threw in the other characters because the main characters needed other people to play off, you know. And Leatherface needed more bodies to kill. The other characters, yeah, they were just kind of there, including Sally. Speaking of Sally, they really did her dirty. I understand why some people really didn't like the inclusion of Sally in this movie. Besides being a bit of a distraction, she really didn't serve any purpose. And oh my god, I've never been so infuriated with a character choice before. But the scene where Sally finally meets Leatherface, face to face, she doesn't shoot him. She's like, I've been waiting 40 years. She has a shotgun pointed at his head, and she doesn't shoot. Like, what the hell? You're completely useless. She just lets him walk away. And when she does shoot him, she misses. Like, what even was the point of having her in the movie? I think they've tried to do the whole, Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween type gimmick, but it didn't really work because at least Jamie Lee Curtis's character would actually actively do things, not like this. where she did nothing. So let's talk about gore. The original didn't actually show a lot of gore. Even though the original is often cited as one of the most gruesome horror movies of all time, they never really show any gore. It was more implied, so your mind filled in a lot of the blanks. We didn't actually see the hook going into Pam's back. We didn't even see the chainsaw cutting Franklin, whereas this one is a lot more in your face kind of gore. I think both methods work. The original was more psychological, mental breakdown kind of movie, but this one is more gore for gore's sake. On that note, considering it's called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in the original, the chainsaw was only really used to kill one person. It wasn't really a massacre. With this movie, we did actually get a chainsaw massacre, which was good. As well, because this movie is set in modern times, the first thing people do when they see Leatherface is pull out their phones and start live streaming, which is kind of hilarious because that's what everybody does. I kind of liked that they also showed some of the comments on the live stream, saying stuff like, "That's so fake." This is definitely something that would happen. As I mentioned before, there was definitely some underlying message about guns. It kind of seems to me like this movie was rather pro-gun. Like Leela, as I mentioned, was a school shooting survivor, so her and her sister were very anti-gun. But then towards the end, Leela is kind of forced to pick up a gun and use it to protect herself. Maybe I'm reaching, but it did seem like that's what they were trying to get to, kind of pushing the idea of gun good. In the beginning, there's a moment where Mal has a go at the guy who was there to fix up the place because he had a gun on his hip. He politely explained to her that they have a feral pig problem, and that's why he carries a gun. Then, of course, later, Leela ends up using a gun because how else are you going to stop Leatherface? It kind of had a feel of, oh, you're anti-gun, so you're stupid kind of vibe. There was also a theme of trauma and not letting yourself become a victim. Like Sally tells Leela, if you run, he'll never stop haunting you. Leela, of course, knows what she means, because she's still haunted by the school shooting. Clearly, this is a theme for facing your fears and addressing your trauma. Leela needed to face up to Leatherface not only to survive this, but also as a way of letting go of what happened to her before, which was also emphasized by her picking up a gun. So overall, besides a couple of things here and there, I thought this Texas Chainsaw Massacre was okay. Even though Sally was disappointing, just leave her out of the movie completely. Don't even add her. It was not necessary to shoehorn her character into the movie. In my opinion, they could have left her out completely and it wouldn't have changed anything. So, yeah, Sally was very disappointing. The majority of the supporting characters were cardboard cutouts, not even there. In a way, it almost seemed like they were trying to shoehorn in as many issues as they could. The black guy seeing the Confederate flag, kicking the old lady out of her own home, anti-gun stuff, social media and cancel culture, all of this stuff. It's like they were trying to just force it in there to try and make it interesting, but it actually had the opposite effect. It just made the characters more annoying. But that's just my opinion. But in general, it was okay. So the question is, would I watch it again? Possibly. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. But anyway, I will leave you on a fun fact of the day. The house from the original movie is now a restaurant. Would you eat there? But anyway, that's all the time I have for this movie review. What are your thoughts? Have you seen it? Are you going to see it? But anyway, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!